Welcome, everyone. I'd like to call tonight's regular meeting of the Los Altos School District Board of Trustees to order. A recording and our broadcast of this meeting is being made at the direction of the board, which may capture images and sounds of those attending the meeting. We'll now call the roll. Stella? Here. Jim?
Here.
Vladimir?
Yep.
Brian?
Present.
And I, Shelley, Sarkisian here as well. We're going to move on to the Pledge of Allegiance. Would any of our students like to lead us in the pledge? Please, just right in the middle.
Please stand. Place your right hand over your heart and pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag, the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Would any board members like to provide comment on tonight's agenda? Then may I please have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Thank you, Vladimir. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Stella. Motion to approve tonight's agenda as presented was made by Vladimir, seconded by Stella. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. Motion passes unanimously. All right. Closed session report. So the board took action in closed session tonight to approve the OAH case number 2025020065 by a vote of 5-0. Superintendent's update. Ms. McGowan.
All right, a few updates for you. Wanted to thank everyone for an outstanding Junior Olympics. I know it's been over a week now, but we had our great Junior Olympics a week ago Saturday. Really want to thank Allie Granberry and the Gardner Bullis team. The Gardner Bullis was in charge of the JO this year. It is a heavy lift. We have folks from every school site, all of our organizations, staff, and it is just an outstanding LASD tradition. Also wanted to thank Josh Ortman, Candace Marquis, and Dina Zaconti, who are our PE staff liaisons who work with the JO committee and make sure everything runs smoothly. It was an outstanding, really outstanding event. Just a little bit of rain, but it was in the afternoon and it did not ruin the day, which is terrific. I also received a really sweet shout out from Allie about Lino, who's in our maintenance and operations. Lino was there starting at 6 a.m. and didn't leave until the whole event was cleaned up at the end of the day. He's such a great person and always helps anytime anything is needed. So thank you to Lino. And I know we've talked to so many kids and former kids, and Ms. March and I were talking way former kids. Everybody remembers their Junior Olympics experience, even if they're 30, 40 years old. So it's really terrific. So thank you all. Shelley and Brian might chat a little bit about this, but earlier last week, we were attending the Coast to Coast Federal Advocacy Trip, which is a joint trip between the California School Boards Association and AXA, the School Administrators Association, and felt really honored to be there. It's such an informative experience. We had the opportunity to learn a lot about what's happening in our federal government as it pertains to funding for public education, and had a chance to advocate directly with our Congress folks around, my special piece was around special education funding and the promise that Congress made over 50 years ago to fund 40%. We are nowhere near 40% of the cost of supporting special education students. So to have the opportunity to talk directly to folks who are just getting set to make some decisions about budget and what's being cut and what's being supported, I was glad to be able to be there. Wanted to let you all know that we are celebrating our staff this week and next week. It's staff appreciation time. And so we have been making our way out to the school sites with some ice cream and some thank yous. And we're so thankful for the great people who work in LASD across every single job. They're incredibly dedicated and really exceptional people. So we're so happy to celebrate them in big and small ways. And then, I think I'm not supposed to say this publicly, but I'm gonna say it anyway. The PTA council meeting on Wednesday, we have some retiring folks who are receiving an honorary, what is it called, Jim? Do you remember what the PTA council calls it?
No, it's sorry.
Honorary something or other award. And so that's happening Wednesday. We'll talk more about it next time. So I will be there and then rushing off to the Hoffman Awards.
Yes.
So the Hoffman Awards takes place at Metro Ed. Always a great time to hear about what other districts are doing to highlight programs that support students. So that's happening this Wednesday. My update.
That was great. That was awesome. That was awesome. Okay, and on now to the best part of our meeting, which is our
Yes.
school presentation. Magan?
So welcome, Mrs. March, and the Springer Stingers are in the house.
Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for having us here. I have to say, a little bit on a personal note here, it was really exciting. I was looking at my calendar. I believe it was a year ago yesterday that I was voted in here to be the new principal. And so it's super exciting for me to be here at the sunset of my first year as principal, which has been just an amazing, fabulous year, showing off all the amazing things that we have done here at Springer. And I have to tell you, this is like a big thing for the first year when you're here, because you know that, everything is kind of dependent on how well things look here. And so as I was getting ready, I was thinking, what are we gonna show them? What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? And these kids kept coming to me on the playground. They were asking me about zoos and they were telling me all this stuff. And I'm like, I don't know, I got bigger things to worry about. And all of a sudden it dawned on me as I went in, like, this is the epitome and the dictionary definition of deeper learning that we've been after, the excitement that these kids have. And when I walk into their classrooms with their two amazing fifth grade teachers, Miss Bailey and Mr. Ramirez, who you'll hear from shortly, had so much going on in the room and the kids were just buzzing, no pun intended, seriously, no pun intended, with all these great things that they were doing. I want you tonight to just pay particular attention. I know you've heard this in other deeper learning presentations, but we really have been talking about agency and purpose, community of learners, and learning by doing, which this is a very strong example of. But beyond that, I also really want you to look at the critical thinking and the inclusion. Inclusion is a very big deal to me and it's a big deal to us as Springer, and every child is in the classroom learning with their peers and doing the work that everybody else is. So it's something that I'm really proud of and something that you're going to see tonight, and some amazing impact statements from the kids at the end. So I'm not going to talk anymore because I am not the person you want to hear from tonight, maybe a year ago, but not tonight. So I'm going to pass it along to their teachers, let them introduce the students. Ms. Bailey and Mr. Ramirez.
Hello, I'm Brooke Bailey and
I'm also Ramirez. Thank you for having us.
and we're really excited for you all to hear about this project. I think when we introduced the idea of should animals be kept in zoos, we really had no idea where the students would take it, and so I think, yeah.
Yeah, we always have, discussion, things like this throughout the year and my old school, and, this question that we posed, it was just the question that we thought, well, kids like zoos, maybe they might learn something about zoos, and, I would hear about it through recess, and the kids just kept talking about it, and they made it their own thing, and we just sat back and we kind of took advantage of that and wanted to harness that energy and that passion, and we wanted to keep it going and have them.
Without further ado, we'll introduce our first student, Kyle. Come on over, Kyle.
Hi, my name is Kyle Zamani. Today I will be covering what all of our peers thought and said before all of our research took place. Before we did our research, the teachers gave us a link to a survey on Google Forms. The survey asked us all about our opinions about animals being kept in zoos. Over 60% of us said that animals should be kept in zoos. That result was nothing like the 96% at the end that said animals should not be kept in zoos. That was mostly because we didn't do any research before the survey. After we did the research, we learned of many of the cruel traditions of many zoos, most of them based in Europe.
Come on up.
Hi, my name is Ava, and I'm going to talk about the class's initial opinions on zoos. At the beginning of our writing journey, we thought that having a class definition of a zoo would help us better understand them. So we did some research and compiled a list of definitions. Then we took a survey as a class, and the majority of us chose a definition originating from multiple articles, websites, and dictionaries. The definition we chose was unbiased toward either side of the argument and simply stated the truth.
Sahana.
Hi, my name is Sahana, and today I'll be talking about the beginning of our information gathering process. Before we built an argument, we made an unsubstantiated claims based on things that we believed to be true about zoos. We made a T-chart with both sides of our argument, and we listed reasons supporting the claims. This was the beginning of the notes we would use to support our claim or stance on zoos.
Eli, come on up.
Hi, my name is Elijah, and I will be talking about how we gathered information for our opinion essay. We gathered evidence by reading articles. During this process, we learned a new phrase, unsubstantiated claim. This is when someone says something without evidence to prove their statement is true. We found evidence in the articles and wrote it on post-it notes. Then we put the post-its up on the writing wall to support the reasons that we had made earlier in the project. At the end, some reasons had a lot of evidence, and other reasons didn't have much evidence. We learned that the reasons with less evidence shouldn't be used to support our claim because they were unsubstantiated. Hello, my name is Susanna, and I will be talking about our research. Researching was a very important part of our progress, and we made sure to research both sides of the argument and use many sources. We created charts to organize the information we collected. The research was also very important because the information that we collected educated us. As we learned more about zoos and looked at different perspectives, a lot of our opinions started to change. At the beginning, most of us were in favor of zoos, but slowly many of us were inspired to take action against inhumane zoos. Thank you. Hello, my name is Gracie. I'm going to be talking about how we strengthen our arguments for our essays. First, we determined which arguments were strong. This helped us determine which arguments in our essays were reliable, meaning they came from strong evidence. Strong evidence comes from experts, research, and data. Strong evidence also has to come from a trusted source, meaning it provides a thorough, well-reasoned argument based on a source that is used widely. The argument also has to show a pattern, meaning it doesn't have just one example, but many, all tying to the same main idea. This helps us find errors in our own work and improve our arguments. Thank you. Hi, my name is Ali. And my name is Aria. We will be talking about peer editing and feedback. We use two kinds of peer feedback, 2 stars and 1 wish and rainbow editing. 2 stars and 1 wish is a strategy used in our class to give feedback to each other and to learn how we can improve our writing. When doing 2 stars and 1 wish, the reader gives 2 compliments to the author about things in their writing that they think worked really well. Then the reader gives the author 1 wish, or one thing that the author can do to improve their writing. This type of feedback is important to the writing process because it helps the author find ways to improve their writing from their peers' perspective before it is time to turn in their writing. We also get the chance to do 2 stars, 1 wish with multiple partners to get even more feedback. Rainbow editing is a kind of editing that uses all colors of the rainbow to edit different parts of our writing, such as grammar, punctuation, and spelling. It is important to do rainbow editing with a piece of writing because the reader might catch mistakes that you didn't notice. It is also important for our writing to have correct grammar and spelling to make the writing the best it can be. Rainbow editing is also helpful to see what our writing might be missing. For example, if I didn't see any purple marks on my writing, I would know that I need to add some extra words to make my writing even better. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Emma Tyra. When we were all done with our essays, we got to show them at open house. We glued our essays on a piece of construction paper and put them on the wall for our parents to see. When I finished my essay, I felt very relieved. I thought I would never finish. I asked for purple paper to glue my essay on, and my teacher gave me one, and he was and I was very happy. Thank you.
Some students share, like a final impact that this over project had for them, now that it's finished. So Kyle, did you want to say something?
I think in the end, we had a very strong opinion about why animals shouldn't be kept in zoos, because we did a lot of research, too much, on our computers. I found out a lot of cruel things that zoos do that we never knew before. Like when we went to the zoo before, we'd be like, oh, this animal looks so happy. Like now, if you go to the zoo somewhere else, you start to realize all the cruel things that the zookeepers might be doing to the animals. Not in all zoos that happens, but in most.
Before I did the research, I thought that zoos were a good place where animals were kept happy, but now when I go to a zoo, I try to think deeper and try to look for signs if animals are happy or if they're treated badly. This includes aquariums and looking at the fish. And sometimes I realize that the spaces may be really small. Even if the zoo is good, the animals still probably don't have enough room. Thank you. Before we did this project, I used to go to some zoos and I used to like look at all the animals, think that they were really happy living there and like all of them were getting fed and everything. After we did the research, I found that a lot of them were getting killed, or even worse, then I thought maybe like the animals don't actually like being in the zoos and maybe they'd rather be free instead.
Susanna? Go ahead.
Okay, so this project really impacted me because like at the beginning I was like, well, of course not all zoos are perfect, but overall zoos are a great sanctuary for animals. But I think we researched a lot, and as I learned more, I leaned a little more toward the no side. I think a specific piece of evidence that moved me was we found information about a giraffe that was killed and dissected in front of a crowd at the Copenhagen Zoo. And so I decided to do more research, and I found out that in a group of European zoos, around 3,000 to 5,000 animals are killed a year. And I was really shocked and horrified, and I think that, along with other information I collected, really impacted me. Writing these essays and doing this research inspired us to step up and try to change something that we thought was wrong. And while I was only in our classroom, I think we made a difference in some people's ideas about zoos. This started when one of our classmates found a video on a zoo in Copenhagen on a public dissection of a giraffe that was declared unfit for breeding by the zoo's scientific director. The giraffe was shot and dissected in front of hundreds of people. After extensive research, we found out that not only does this zoo kill animals, but in total, the zoos in Europe kill 3,000 to 5,000 animals a year. We decided to do something about it. Over 30 kids started calling ourselves the Anti-Animal Cruelty Association. We started a petition which had over 30 signatures and growing, and we even had 2 official meetings. We had even planned to do a peaceful protest. This shows that even kids can do something big if they're inspired to do so.
You want to say something? You don't have to.
Honestly, once I started the research, I just felt like you gotta just think deeper about things. And I guess it impacted me on that. And well, before I did start research, I thought zoos were just a happy place you could go for entertainment. But then when I started the research, I realized that what about the animals? And once I learned more about the animals, I just was like, this is wrong. This should not happen. And that's how the zoos impacted me. This project impacted me because before my teacher introduced the idea of should animals be kept in zoos, I never really thought of it. Like, I just thought, oh, zoos are cool. But then, after I started researching for this project, I realized the animals may not be happy there. Their enclosures could be too small, or they're forced mating, and that really.
Before I started, I didn't know where I should have got my information from. I got it from wherever I got it from and only wrote what was underlined.
I think that's it. Thank you.
Guys, there's a very emotionally complex issue. And so I'm really proud of you for like going deeper into something. A lot of people have very strong emotional feelings about zoos. And so, we go deeper into this and to start an anti-cruelty association, I think that's really amazing. Board members, any comments? Yeah, you look so speechless. I did not know about the zoos in Europe, by the way. So that's awful. So thank you so much. We're gonna move on to the consent calendars. Would any board members like to provide comment on the consent calendar?
I have a question.
Yes.
Informed K-12 does what?
We use Inform K-12 for all of our internal timesheets, cash reimbursement, vacation payout, all of those things. Hundreds of them.
It's enough.
Great.
Can I ask another
Yes.
question? The crossing guard MOU, that draft with the color coding and the various crossing guards, it
Yeah.
wasn't clear. I think, and we got a question from the public that I didn't see an answer about what the red means in some of these lines. In terms of, you need to.
So the question was whether or not, and somebody's gonna remind me of the,
Well, he was asking about a specific intersection, but like
Correct.
sort of on a broader level, it sort of marks where they're currently staffed, which they all were except for one. But then some of them are in red, and it wasn't clear
there was
why.
a conversation at one point in time after they had done a traffic study that some of those, locations may no longer be staffed, but I believe that is not the plan going forward
So the plan is for
To-
all of these
to be
to be
staffed.
staffed.
Yep.
Okay.
And the one that the parent was asking was listed under Egan and not under Santa Rita. Oh, but it's on hold.
Site number 11. Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
I was just gonna say, one of the requests from years ago is to have a crossing guard at Ortega. And that is in Mountain View. And so I was just wondering if there's an equivalent, one of these for the city of Mountain View.
Not at this time.
We don't, we do have a crossing guard at Springer, right across the street from the school, and so the school has their own crossing guard that does that, and we do that ourselves.
Ortega?
No,
Ortega and El Camino?
no, we don't go that far north.
All right.
Interestingly, actually, all of El Camino is in Los Altos. Line is not down the middle.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But we can talk to the city of Mountain
Yeah.
View as part of their safe route to school to see if they're made plan for staffing.
Yeah, because that was a request a long time ago, like 8 years ago.
Yeah, we can ask them.
El Camino is state route? Does the state doesn't? No.
Line's not in-
No?
no, But we can
Yeah.
take the rest of that.
Yeah.
Just got
Comments on the consent calendar? Then may I please have a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented?
So moved.
Thank you, Vladimir. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Stella. Right, motion to approve the consent calendar as presented was made by Vladimir, seconded by Stella. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. Motion passes unanimous. Moving on to employee requests to address the board. Los Altos Teachers Association, Alex Schroeder.
Thank you guys, appreciate it. Okay, I didn't bring my phone. This is just all from the heart. So here we go, not even rehearsed. But thank you guys for having me this evening. It's perfect timing and teacher or educators appreciation week. And I will tell you, the educators in Los Altos, we love being here. We love serving the children here. We love doing the hard work that is required of a teacher in Los Altos. You really do have to put your all into it. We acknowledge that every single person we have in our classroom is somebody else's heart and soul, and so we treat them accordingly. Our teachers work incredibly hard. Our educators work incredibly hard. That's our speech, our psychology, our special ed teachers, working well beyond the hours that our students are with us. And thinking about them well beyond the hours that they're with us. I mean, I think about students even from years ago, wondering how they're doing. It is quite an honor to serve them. I would say, just like I said towards the beginning of one of these board meetings when I spoke, I really do, and I really want to encourage all of our board members to come in and be part of our schools and really get to know our teachers and really be curious, ask those questions. You know, somebody very wise said at one of the last meetings I was in, they said, well, this is just numbers, but what about all the things, the people behind these numbers? You might know who you are. And I just thought, yes, that is so true. Like as a board, I know you guys hear a lot of things and you guys see a lot of numbers and you see a lot of data, but until you really see like our educators in action, until you go and talk to them and you have conversations and you really just sort of hear what makes their job joyful and incredible, and then what makes our job challenging? What are the things that stand in the way of us doing what's best for kids? What are the things that take up the time that maybe isn't the best time well spent? Because we are the ones taking on every initiative. We are the ones using the curriculum day in and day out, and we are the ones that see what our kids need. So I guess to wrap it up, I would say the best way as leaders of the school, I think, to show your teachers that you appreciate them is by truly being curious, by listening, by having conversations and engaging them, because we are a group of highly educated professionals. So thank you so much for your time and thank you for all the support. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Alice. For the California School Employees Association, Kim Fletcher. Oh, gosh.
As we begin our new bargaining, we would just like to say thank you for our continued partnership, and that CSU Cabinet and the school board have a very strong relationship. And we know that we will continue to work towards our same goal of strong communities, and that our partnership together and collaborating on how to continue to support all of our staff and really be a wonderful, well-rounded community. Our negotiations team looks forward to working together and know that we will come together to find the right agreement for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Right. To provide public comment on an agenda item, speaker cards are to be submitted to the superintendent. Speaker cards will not be accepted once public comment begins. Your name will be announced when it is your turn to speak. On to community comments. This time is reserved for members of the public and employees to address the board on items that are not on the agenda. The board is not permitted to discuss or take action on non-agenda items, except to instruct the superintendent to review the matter further, report back to the board at a subsequent meeting, or place the matter on a future agenda. The board may make a brief comment or ask clarifying questions. And I see that there are no cards for public comment. Last chance, folks. All right, public comment is closed. On to action and discussion items. So this is going to be exciting. The Egan Taiwan exchange trip.
Well, I'm gonna let Dr. Bosco intro this one.
Thank you. We have another exciting student presentation this evening, and thinking about staff who go above and beyond. I'd like to invite Raquel Mandaroli, our principal from Almond, Chiling Ching, our Mandarin teacher from Egan, and Jen Patino, our adjunct teacher and next year's teacher in charge from Egan, to come on up and introduce our students who will be presenting on their visit to Taiwan over the spring break. Come on up, students, and sit down.
Thank you so much for giving us an opportunity to share some of this awesome experience that we all experienced together. Here to share kind of what we did in Taiwan are Zachary, Eric, Lily. They're twins. Deanna, Kailani, and Maddie. I was good in Taiwan, but the rest of it now. Yeah, as mentioned, I'm Jen Patino. I teach Avid and US history at Egan, but yes, next year it will be the teacher in charge.
Wow.
Hi, my name is Charlie Chung. I'm the Mandarin speaker at Egan.
You know me, I'm Raquel Mataroli. I was, not at Egan, but I was one of the chaperones and great time. But I think we're gonna let the kids, share with you what they experienced, so.
Remember this one first? Okay, whoever's ready to go.
So I'm gonna be talking about the first day, which was the day that we arrived. So we left California around like 12 p.m. And then we arrived in Taiwan around 5 p.m. And then a bus picked us up and drove us to Linko Junior High, which is where we had the welcome dinner. And they basically bought us food and they had a meeting like introducing us to all of the teachers and like important people there. And then we met our host families, and after we split up, so me and Kailani stayed at the same like host family's house, and our like families decided to take us to the night market, and we got food and we just walked around and explored before going back to there.
So I visited Chungchun Junior High School with Lily. We were split up based on our host families, and at Chungchun there were many classes that had like bilingual learning where they spoke both English and Mandarin. And there were also a lot of students that were considerably fluent in English, considering that they've only been in Taiwan. And we explored the campus, which is 7 stories tall, and we also went to an assembly where they would like present awards to students who were in competitions and things like that. And I made many friends at Chungchun, and at school there were meals inside the classroom that had food like chicken, soup, rice, and broccoli. And the students would go around the school and clean it themselves, so they don't have any janitors.
Okay, so also on Monday, I was not with them, so me and Gianna, we actually went on a field trip for Linko Junior High School. So the first thing was we went on the bus and we were with the chaperones, but we weren't with any of the other students. And we did a bunch of like exploring around Taiwan. So first we went to a temple and we kind of learned more about their history, their culture, and like what they do there, or like what their norm is for like at a temple. It's kind of like a church. It's like they're praying and like their customs and everything like that. And then after we went to a salt museum or a factory, which I guess was like, it was supposedly like well known in Taiwan. And we learned how to make, it's like a water bottle carrier kind of, so it was made out of like sock material, but it wasn't actually a sock. And we got to make it with all the students and then chaperones from both Linko Junior High School and Egan. And then after we drove back to the school, and one of the parents of the students actually bought us all lunch from, I don't know where it was from, but it was really good. And after that, we went to a tea store, and that was like what we did in the afternoon. And we got to make tea jelly, and we also got to experience what it's like to actually make tea, which is another thing that Taiwan is known for. So we picked tea leaves from the like the fields from where it's from, and then we got to see how it's like actually made, and then we also got to try a lot of different types of tea. And then after the school day like ended, you split up back into your host families, and then Gianna and I just did a bunch of exploring around like local downtown area, and like we ate dinner with them, and then we kind of went like shopping in like the local stores. So no, it's okay.
Okay. All right, so this is Tuesday. There's some pictures. This was, on Tuesday, the first thing we did was we visited a gold museum, which basically what it is it's like when you pan gold and when you filter it out of like the ground, and you get rid of all the dust. There's this whole process that they made us do. First you have to scoop out the gold, you shake it around a few times, you put it under the water, you like you kind of do this like swishing movement. I'm not sure how to explain it, then you. But like, what's left is, a lot of that's the gold, and then you just put the gold, they give you a small like kind of bottle or capsule. You put everything. You put everything in there. And you get to keep it as like a little souvenir. It's a lot of fun. After that, we explored this place. It was called Jiufen. Is that a picture from it? I'm not sure if that's a picture from, but it was a lot of fun. We also went to this Jiufen Elementary School. This school was really special because it had like a whole exhibit within itself. And it kind of taught us the history of the area, all the way back since World War II, actually. I remember, and yeah. Oh yeah, there's this. We also, last thing we did that day together was we visited this tea shop. It was a lot of fun. They showed us kind of like a way of like how to put the leaves in the kettle or the teapot, and we just had to like wait, and we just poured out the tea. So, it sounds so simple, but it's a lot.
Tuesday, me and Kaimani went to school with our host families at Lincoln Junior High, which was the original school that we went to for the welcome dinner. So we arrived at school at 7:30 because their school starts around like 7:45. And then Kailani went to one of our buddies, like she followed them, our 8th grade buddy, and then we also had a 7th grade buddy. And then, so we split up and went to their classes and ate lunch with them. And then after, we packed up our stuff because we had another host family, because we had 2 host families. And so in the middle of the week, we like switched houses. So we ate dinner at the mall at a steak place, and then we moved to our second host family's house and got settled in there. Okay, so on Wednesday, we all met back up together, and that was kind of when we saw each other again, because we hadn't seen each other at all for the first 2 days. And so we had a semiconductor literacy class. It says earthquake because in the middle of it, there was an earthquake. And that was kind of like when we saw the difference between like our 2 cultures. Because everybody from like Egan in the US, we were all like going under the table. And then, like they were all just sitting there because apparently in Taiwan, earthquakes are normal. And so they like look up at the ceiling, and then if like the lights are shaking or something like that, that's when they know that they should take cover. But they were kind of all just staring at us. And we were like, but anyways, in the semiconductor class, we basically just learned about semiconductors. And then we built them out of Legos, but instead of just building the semiconductor, we like made the process through Legos. So it was a lot of putting things on and then taking it off again. And then it was like really time consuming. But after we ate lunch, and it was really good, we ate with a bunch of different schools because the semiconductor literacy class, it was with Egan, and then it was with a bunch of different schools, including schools that our host family students like didn't attend. And then after, we visited a place called Shifen Waterfall, which is what those 2 photos are from, the really big one and then the one on the bottom on the left. And we weren't there for that long, but we just took a bunch of pictures, and it was like a little hike. And then after, we went to Shifen Old Street, which was right next door, and we got to release sky lanterns, which was pretty cool because you got to write like special messages or like wishes or hopes or dreams on the lanterns. And then you would light them up and they would fly up. And then we actually saw some, when we were walking around the waterfall in like the forest area, there was some that had like fallen from like previous people who had like written on them. And then we also walked around the old street, and we kind of just got to explore and again, like look at more stores. And then at the end, we drove to Mega 50 Culture Night Dinner, which was a 50-floor buffet, but we were on the 50th floor. And there was like a restaurant there, and then there were all the students who were with us from the entire day, but also went to the dinner with us. And then there were a bunch of education department officials there too. And we all just got to kind of like hang out and talk. And this was also Miss Madaroli's birthday. So we celebrated at the center. Okay, so on Thursday in the morning, we went to a climate change summit. So it was an environmental summit with people from all over the world. There were people from Australia, but they were on a Zoom because they don't think they could get there. And then there were different examples of how we can help make the earth more sustainable and how Taiwan was doing it from like elementary school people and kids in high school. And they just discussed renewable energy and climate action projects they were doing. And that's the top picture on the right of all the people from the schools we went to. And in the afternoon, we went to an indigo tie-dye workshop at Sanxia Old Street, and then also walked around the shops. So for the tie-dye class, we learned about the natural dyeing process of indigo and how they got it, and also created our own pattern designs. And on the bottom left, you can see all the different designs that we had to choose from. And then on the bottom right is the indigo like bucket that we would put our stuff in. And then for the Sanxia Old Street, we walked through a historic area and enjoyed different foods and saw the traditional architecture, which is there from a while back.
Hello, my name is Eric, and I'm going to cover what we did on Friday. So Friday, we started off with a trip to the National Imperial Museum that housed many of the mainland China's treasures that they took from the Forbidden City to Taiwan when they were kicked from the mainland. We then took a bus to Taipei 101, and we went to the top floor, and we had a really fast elevator and we could hear like our ears pop as we like accelerated up. And then we went to the Chiang Kai-shek Memorial, the first Taiwanese president's memorial, and we saw where how the guards changed place, and they were like twirling their guns, and I was like really cool. And then me and Zach, this personally was like my favorite part. We went to the Pokemon Center, and I bought lots of stuff there. Then we ate probably some of the best hot pot I've ever had in my life. Like everything was very good about it. There was like a self-serve bar. We could like get our own dipping sauce and whatever. And then we had to say goodbye to our Taiwan buddies, unfortunately, at the hotel. Yep, and that was Friday.
For some like big takeaways, the first thing was deep learning, which is like learning by doing. So we learned Chinese at Egan in our Mandarin class. I think we all took it last year and this year, so both years at Egan. And then we got to use what we learned in class to communicate with our host families and the teachers and the students there, because they could speak some English to us, but then we also spoke Mandarin to them, so it wasn't too hard. And so it was kind of like a mix of both. And then we also learned about Taiwanese culture by visiting historical monuments or like things that they have there that we don't necessarily have the same here. So for example, those are the tea fields that we went to go pick tea leaves, me and Gianna. They probably have something like that in the US, but it's not as big. And then also just the tie-dye again, their old streets. We got to go to a museum and we saw a bunch of old artifacts. And then there's a photo from the Chiang Kai-shek Memorial because that's like a special memorial. It kind of reminded me of like Washington DC, but it was just a special memorial of like Chiang Kai-shek. And then the last photo is just like they have night markets, which is their big thing. It's kind of like something that Taiwan is known for. And so you don't really have something like that where like the food is really cheap, but then it's really good. And there's just a bunch of different stores and like shops with food in it. So that was really fun to try all the stuff and like learn about everything that's not necessarily here in the US.
Okay, global citizenship. Sounds a little lefty, but we connected. Like keep in mind Taiwan is across the world, okay? So it's amazing, right? That we can just like travel from San Francisco to Taipei in one day, just off planes and stuff, right? Address global challenges, we did a lot of that during the meeting we had on Thursday. I'm sure you guys remember, we had this meeting on the climate change, how to fix it. Many people, I was listening the whole time, you were just playing games, but anyways, I think that aside, I think everyone offered some really good ideas during that time. We also did a lot of exchange between cultures, like the earthquake that we just mentioned, right? That was kind of insane. They kind of realized it was coming before we did. Like they kind of like the room just went silent before it started shaking. It's kind of crazy how they can do that. And yeah, that's about it for this slide.
So for community, we lived with host families who opened up their homes to us and shared their daily routines with us. Our host family, for me and Maddie, on our second night, took us to Din Tai Fung, and it was really nice. I love Din Tai Fung. And I've had Din Tai Fung here in the US, but it was cool to see, like, obviously I've had it before, but the different ways that they make stuff there, and we were able to see how they make their dumplings. And then also we attended the Taiwanese schools and built friendships with the classmates. And like we never would have met them, but because of this, we made new bonds. We also released the Sky Lanterns together, which is like a symbol of hope. So it just like made the community stronger together. And then we just explored the local environment and like daily life. And the daily routines are much different there than they are here. So it was cool to see that and be with the different people. For cultural exchange, we did like a lot of different cultural experiences while we were at Taiwan. So on the first day, me and Kailani visited a temple, which was, I think Kailani talked about it. It was like about their different gods and like how they pray. And there's like gods that they pray to before, like they have tests to wish, like they're like wishing for luck. And then we also did tea tasting where they had like 8 different kinds of tea and we would try them. And then we also raised the lanterns, which you could like write messages on, and it would be like good luck. And then we also like experienced their daily life because we followed them around their schools, and they took us around to like their favorite restaurants and places and like shops that they went to. And then we also went to different monuments, like the one, I don't know what it's called. Yeah, that like Chiang Kai-shek or something like that. And then there's also a museum that we went to that had a lot of like Taiwanese like pottery and a bunch of like old artifacts that they had.
So, appreciation and respect is what the entire trip was about. We built relationships with our buddies and in Taiwan, and we actually still keep in touch with each other. And I actually message my buddy sometimes through Instagram, and we send funny videos with each other. Students from both sides were very respectful, and they were we were on our utmost behavior, promise, and formed many bonds and friendships from just a single week in Taiwan. And yeah, it was a really fun trip. Yeah.
So there's mutual respect between us because last year most of the schools from Taipei visited Egan for 2 days, and they also went to other places in America too. But our trip to Taiwan made us visit new schools, as well as schools that met us last year, such as Chingshan Junior High School, which I visited with Lily, and even my buddy, her name is Rachel. She actually went to Egan last year, and also there's like pictures of them going here. And so Egan has shared our experiences in California and provided for the Taiwanese students. and then later they gave back to us. And then this shows our mutual respect, friendship, and gratitude for each other. Getting that.
So we wanted to share a little bit of reflection from our staff as well. I think the first thing I want to share is that it's no small feat to take 8th graders across the world and bring them back whole and safe. So have that checked off.
Thank you, parents.
And they were lovely. They were such a good group. So we were really lucky that we got to travel with you all. I think also you just showed so much courage going across the world without your families. I felt a little bit like a mother hen, just trying to, make sure that you had what you needed, but really you were so independent and just putting yourself out there using a language that maybe you weren't born to. And so I have so much, I'm in awe of you. So thank you for that. And then I just want to say thank you to Carrie Bosco and Catherine Sang, and all of the people who made this, happen for these kiddos, and it's such a privilege to have been able to experience this with them.
I want to say ditto, the kids were awesome. We all had such a great time, and thank you to all of them that help make it happen. Just looking at the cultural differences but also the similarities, kind of like, all educators face and all students face. There's a lot more similarities that we have in common than differences, and even the differences I found so fascinating, like how one grade level has one garbage can, and you start to think about what that would look like at. And the people there were just so welcoming. The hospitality is unlike any other, and I'm excited to be able to host them if they want to come back and see us and just kind of reciprocate, because they took such good care of us. I want to take such good care of them, and I'm so appreciative of it. And it was a once in a lifetime experience for all of us.
I really want to say thank you all of you and Catherine for making this happen. The kids, by seeing that what they did, unfortunately this time I cannot go with them. However, since last year we started our Mandarin program, started doing like pen pal exchange, and also the Taiwanese school came here, and I know they really wanted to have a partnership and with our school. That's why we always keep in touch, and then since last year they started inviting us to go there to visit them. So I told the kids, if you are well behaved, we can make this happen. And of course, this year, the kids are really, really good. They are angels. I keep telling you they are my angels. And they are so well behaved, and they are so respectful. And it's a really breakthrough, not for our Mandarin program, also for our weekend school and also our school district. So everything just really new and really just a big breakthrough. What I see from my students that after they came back, they keep telling me that, oh, I see, I feel so appreciated because, the Taiwanese student have to arrive to school at 7:30 in the morning. And I said, and their lunch is so good. And Miss Jiang, they call me Miss Jiang, so, Jiang Laoshi, can you please tell the school district we also want to have a delicious lunch? But then, of course, they see the cultural differences, they embrace different cultures. And I feel also when I read their journals, they also talk about their independence. Actually, I didn't really think about that. And they told me that how the host family treat them so well, how welcoming they are, and how they show appreciation to each other. I think the students this year, this is really, I think it's really the non-forgettable memory for them. And right now they started spreading the words to my 7th graders. So my 7th graders came here actually, can we go to Taiwan next year? And then, you know what? It depends on your behavior. Yeah, this piece I'm very, very proud of it. Yeah.
And so with that, I want to thank Connie Collimore, Principal Wu, and Principal Chen. We have a sister city schools agreement now with Linco Junior High School. And so we're really proud. And what it says is we'll continue to endeavor to have partnerships with the school there. And then as part of this partnership, Almond Elementary recently had a delegation visit just last week that was focused on educational technology and AI. So again, thank you, Raquel, but I have to thank Catherine Sang, who has helped coordinate these you. She is a board member in the Los Gatos Saratoga Union High School District, the district where I came from. So thank you, Catherine, for this experience for our students in our district.
Thank you. Thank you for this partnership. I think it's great to see your student really this Pasado School District really have a wonderful student. You know, they are very respectful and they're really smart and they really fun to be with.
Catherine was with us, in fact, so and Stella also got to join us for an event over there. So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you.
What was the one thing that was most surprising to you about either the culture, the people, or the educational system that they have there? You don't want that to.
For me, I learned that at their schools, first off, their high school is 3 years and their middle school is 3 years, so, or like their junior high, so their junior high is 7th, 8th, and 9th, and then their high school is 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. And then also I learned that once you get a class, like for example, let's say you have a class in 7th grade, you like stick with that class for all the periods and you like stay in the same classroom. But then after that in 8th grade, you stay with the same class, you just all move up grade, and then you have to stay with the same people, so it's kind of hard to have friends like outside of your class because you won't really see them. For me, their school starts earlier than Egan and it ends later than Egan, so they're at school longer. But I think it's also because they have like time in their schedules for like other like things, like they have for like the first like 20 minutes after school starts, they just clean their classroom, and then after lunch too, they also clean their classroom, or after lunch, they also have like 30 minutes for a nap time. And so they all like sleep in their classroom. I don't know, I didn't really like do it because when it was like nap time, our buddies like just took us on a tour of the school. But I guess it happened like every day.
One thing I found surprising was they all clean their schools, so there's no janitor. So like every class is a different part, and me and Maddie, we helped a little with that, and it was just different to see like how they do stuff. And also, like Gianna said, having nap time, it was a little weird for us, but since they were at school for longer, it makes sense because I could not go that long to school.
Something I felt the most surprised about was how easy I was able to talk and communicate with my classmates at school. I thought I was going to be like the odd one out, but they just treated me like I was like a long friend and like a long time friend, and we just immediately like hit it off.
Okay, so me and Eric went to the same school. My experience is a little different than his, but one thing that surprised me the most was that the meal time. I'm pretty sure this was brought up earlier, but when it's like lunchtime, you don't bring your own lunches. The school provides lunch, and you can just bring like a bowl, and then what happens is basically the food is kind of like catered towards your classroom, but like it's kind of rolled in on this cart, and you just scoop the food up and put it in your bowl, and then once you're done, you can kind of just put like your your food scraps back, and then it's composted and it's a little more efficient, it's more reusable.
Similar to what Eric said about the friendship, I was really surprised because some of the days I would make friends, and then one time on Thursday, I think, I met this one girl and we were gonna leave after homeroom. So it was just during homeroom that I saw her. And then I got like her Instagram and like I started messaging her. And then the next day she came to school really early. It was like she told me, "Oh, I'll come at like 6:40 on the first bus to give you a gift." Because I said that I had to wake up really early to get to wherever we were going, because we were going somewhere that was pretty far. And then so I was really surprised that they would do so much for someone that they just met.
Go ahead.
So I got a lot of Instagrams from people that I met there. And so Friday was my birthday, and one of the friends that I met there on Instagram, she texted me happy birthday. And it was really nice to see because I hadn't seen her in like a month, but she still like texted me and said happy birthday.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this should be a surprise or whether it's like a good thing or a bad thing, but all the kids' English was pretty good. They all texted and with English with us too, like we never texted Chinese with them.
Do you feel that your Mandarin skills got a little stronger?
Yes.
Yes.
How many of you speak Mandarin at home? Oh, one. Cool.
But I have a question. Do you guys learn simplified or traditional Chinese at school?
Simplified.
That might be why they don't text you in Chinese, because
Oh.
they do traditional.
Well, we could like see that sometimes it's really easy to realize, oh, I know that character. I could assume what the next one is based on the situation. And also, a lot of like things online, you could just like translate really easily. So I usually message them in English and they would message me in Mandarin.
Well, I think you all represented our school district so beautifully. We're so proud of you and thank you so much for spending the evening with us and sharing about your trip. You guys are wonderful ambassadors, not just for the US, California, but also for our school district. So thank you so much. Thank you very much. Thank you, my friend Catherine. Thank you to our teachers. Thanks for the meeting. Oh, there we go.
And you're welcome to leave.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, parents,
so
for
much.
trusting us with the shoes.
Yeah.
Oh, big deal. All right, we're gonna move on to next item. The Los Altos Educational Foundation Annual Grant Memorandum of Understanding. Mrs. McDonald?
Yes, so as you know, we've had great partners with LAEF for more than 40 years now. And perhaps we've never had a formalized memorandum of understanding kind of detailing the details. So thank you to Heather, and we're so appreciative always of the LAEF board and the work you all do to fundraise an enormous amount of money every year to fill the gap of funding to make sure that we can provide an exceptional education. So I think there might be some public comment tonight. But tonight we're here to really get you to approve that MOU as outlined, and to celebrate the great partnership. More than 40 years.
We have one public comment card. If anyone else wants to submit a card, now is a good time to do so. Board, do you have any clarifying questions? Okay. Any other requests for public comment? Well, then Heather McDonald, come on now.
Thank you so much.
Price is right.
Yeah, exactly. I wanna watch her dryer. Good evening, everybody. Thanks. I know all of you, but just for anyone that doesn't, I'm Heather McDonald. I'm the Executive Director for Los Altos Educational Foundation. And we have 21 board members that represent every school in our district. So I'm joined by two of our board members, Krista Sanders, she's our current vice president, and Emily Harris, she is our immediate past president. And these are two amazing and wonderfully engaged people. One of the things that I just wanted to say briefly is because we were listening to all of these beautiful comments about community. And one of the things that just is so amazing to me is that this organization was founded in 1982. So I'm gonna just talk briefly about, 43 years of history without boring anybody. But the amazing thing is that this was founded by people that said, we have to do something. There's a gap in what public funding can provide for our students. And these people said, we wanna support a well-rounded education for our students. And it was funny, we are still in touch with some of the founders, our first president, some of the founders. And it's really wonderful. And one of the stories that one of them told me is they weren't even sure if it was legal to do this in 1982 to start an education foundation. And they said they kept kind of looking over their shoulder and saying, is this okay? Are we gonna get in trouble or whatever? Unfortunately, a lot of districts in the state of California now have education foundations for the very same reason. There's a gap in public funding. So anyway, it's just interesting to hear the stories and hear what what they've been doing all of these years. So we are a nonprofit education foundation, led by parent volunteers, as I said, representing all 9 schools. Sometimes we have people that are community members as well that don't have kids in the students, representing a school or the whole community. We raise funds to provide teachers and staff for essential programs. And we benefit every single student in TK through 8 in our district. Since its founding, we have contributed nearly $62 million to LASD. So it's a lot of money. We strive to be transparent with our community. In addition to all the information that we have on our website, we have FAQs, we have an annual report, we post our tax return, all those kind of things. And just like the district, we are also audited by an independent audit firm. We thought that this made sense to just come and put together an MOU that was just really transparent for the community and just to kind of reassure everyone of, what we're doing and how we worked with the district. And I just want to say that we are so pleased to partner with the district, with the PTAs, with businesses and the broader community, because the broader community does actually help fund these programs. And so we're really pleased to be here and have a meaningful impact on all the students. And thank you for your time tonight. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Heather.
Thanks.
Right, would any board members like to provide comment on this agenda item? Okay, Stella, please.
I just wanted to thank LAEF and Heather for being here and for all that you do for our community.
We have a motion to approve the 2025-26 Los Altos Educational Foundation Annual Grant Memorandum of Understanding.
So moved.
Thank you, Vladimir. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Stella. Motion to approve the 2025-26 Los Altos Educational Foundation Annual Grant Memorandum of Understanding was made by Vladimir, seconded by Stella. Any further board discussion? Okay, then all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you so much. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you so much, Heather. Yeah. People, Emily. Awesome. All right, we're going to move on to our public hearing. The California School Employees Association, Chapter 103, initial proposal to the Los Altos School District for the 2022-25 successor agreement. Dr. Bosco?
Yes, so this evening there are 4 agenda items. The first 2 are the CSEA's initial proposal and the second 2 are the districts. And so we'll just open this public hearing with, I'll share the articles that our classified school employees are opening. Is Article 13, compensation, Article 6, employment and assignments, Article 11, leaves, Article 16, miscellaneous provisions, and Article 22, agreement.
Yeah, I was supposed to tap the gavel. Public hearing is now open, but thank you. Yeah, can you say all of that? Are there any questions from the board? Okay, are there any requests for public comment? Seeing none, public comment is closed. The public hearing is now closed. For discussion. Okay, thank you. We're going to move on to the next item. The initial proposal of the California School Employees Association, Chapter 103, to Los Altos School District for the 2022-25 successor agreement. If anyone would like to provide public comment on this item now, please submit a speaker card now. Dr. Bosco?
Yeah, so this would be the board considering to accept the initial proposal from the Classified School Employees Association.
Thank you.
Question, what does accept mean?
You're receiving their
Okay, I was
proposal
just
for
receiving it.
negotiations.
Okay.
And are there any requests for public comment? Public comment is now closed. Would any board members like to provide additional comments on this agenda item? No? Okay. Then may I please have a motion to accept the initial proposal of the California School Employees Association, Chapter 103, Los Altos School District for the 2022-2025 successor agreement.
So moved.
Thank you, Vladimir. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Stella. Right, motion to accept the initial proposal of the California School Employees Association, Chapter 103, Los Altos School District for the 2022-25 successor agreement was made by Vladimir and seconded by Stella. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great, thank you. Motion passes unanimously. We have another public hearing now. Los Altos School District initial proposal to the California School Employees Association, Chapter 103, for the 2022-25 successor agreement. The public hearing is now open.
The LASD proposes the following initial proposal. Articles 13, compensation, 21, insurance, 6, employment and assignments, 10, reclassification, 11, leaves, 16, miscellaneous provisions, 19, severance and retirement of full-time employees, including early retirees, 20, severance of contractual provisions, 22, agreement. We're gonna be busy.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? No? Are there any public comments? No? Okay. Public comment is now closed. All right, the public hearing is now closed. Any further board discussion? Okay. Now we're gonna move on to the next item. The initial proposal of Los Altos School District to the California School Employees Association, Chapter 103, for the 2022-25 successor agreement. If anyone would like to provide public comment, please submit a card. Dr. Boston?
Yes, so this evening we would like to request that the board accept the initial proposal of the district to the Classified School Employees Association.
Thank you. Any public comment? No? Okay, public comment is now closed. Would any board members like to provide further comment on this agenda item? No. Okay. Then may I please have a motion to accept the initial proposal of Los Altos School District to the California School Employees Association, Chapter 103, 2022-25 successor agreement.
So moved.
Thank you, Vladimir. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Stella. Motion to accept the initial proposal of Los Altos School District to the California School Employees Association, Chapter 103, 2022-25 successor agreement was made by Vladimir and seconded by Stella. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great, motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Is there any, is it-
They're gonna be very busy.
Starting tomorrow.
It's never a dull moment. All right, moving on. Resolution number 24/25-14. Transfer of funds from the Special Retiree Reserve Fund for the general fund. Mr. Walken.
Yeah, the district has been, for the last several years, we've had Fund 20. And we've only had about $14,000 in that fund, and it's earned a little bit of interest over the years. But we do it pay as you go, so for retiree benefits, we pay every year. This year, we're budgeting about 1.2 million for retiree benefits. Some districts will actually transfer money from the general fund to have money in there, but then when the expenditures happen, you actually have to transfer the money back to the general fund for the expenditure portion. But we're not contributing to that fund. And so we felt it's not really necessary for us to keep track of a separate fund for only $15,000. So we're asking the board tonight to approve this resolution. This will allow us to transfer the money back to the general fund, just got Fund 01. And then we will close this account with the county treasury.
Thank you. Are there any clarifying questions from the board? Okay. Are there any requests for public comments? Public comment is now closed. Any further comment for members on this agenda item? Then may I please have a motion for resolution number 24/25-14, transfer of funds from the Special Retiree Reserve Fund to the general fund.
so moved.
Thank you, Vladimir. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Stella. Any further board discussion? All right. Motion to approve resolution number 24/25-14, transfer of funds from the Special Retiree Reserve Fund to the General Fund is made by Vladimir and seconded by Stella. Since it's a resolution, we'll take a roll call vote. Ryan?
Yes.
Vladimir?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Stella?
Yes.
And I too vote yes. Motion passes unanimously. I almost called you Steve.
Oh, Steve?
You know, that's
Yeah,
right.
I got you.
That's why I like had to pause and look at you for a minute.
Who are you? Why are you at my meeting?
That's nice. But board administration comments. Eric?
Two things. I wanted to acknowledge Sandra Gospel because I always had fun at Junior Olympics, but this year was more fun than others. She gave very detailed instructions to the mascots during Mascot Mania. And Mascot Mania is at the very end of the day, or no, it's kind of in the middle, about 1:30. And the mascots have to go through this obstacle course. And there's a picture on our website and it was a great picture of Sandra like telling them the directions. And the mascots were really cute. They had to make sure their heads didn't come off and all that. And then, but before we went out on the track, the mascots were so cute. They were like actually hugging each other, like, oh, you're Lucy from, another school. And they were really cute. And the moms and dads were great because they were really making sure they were ready on time. So it's really a fun event. And so thank you for acknowledging Lino because he does so much for our district. He has students in our district. It's really neat to see him come as an employee, but also as a parent. And then my favorite thing is actually, I got a note. So it was about 2 weeks ago, I got to go visit Sarah Quigley, who's a third grade teacher at Oak, and they did a project-based learning activity. Rich Julian was over there. He was helping out to cover for Nikita, who was gone. And the kids had the most fascinating project. It took them weeks and weeks of learning, and the kids were wonderful for third grade. The level of learning that was going on. Sarah Quigley, an amazing teacher. The kids were on point. They all got up and spoke. They were well spoken. It was just super fun. And I got a really nice little thank you card from the kids. Thank you for coming to our playground. They really like their playground. They want like a lazy river. And it was super fun for them. Thank you for coming to our playground presentation. We hope you can incorporate an inclusive structure to Oak's playground, and they all signed it. So it's really nice for the kids to do that. And I'm gonna make sure I go over there and say hi and thank you to all of them. But Sarah Quigley, great job with her kids. But the kids were super fun. It's kind of why we're in this business, is for the kids. And when we see all the kid presentations, it really kind of makes it kind of worth it. And thank you to the foundation for always being great partners to help fund some of the programs for our kids. So thank you. So that's it for tonight.
It's a very full circle moment.
Yeah.
Sandra?
I think I'll just add, thank you for allowing me to take Friday off. I enjoyed my son's graduation. I have a college graduate on Saturday, so it was wonderful. It really happened.
Oh,
It's not off the books yet, but it is.
Is your son your retirement plan?
No.
But you're empty nester.
Yes, yes, that is exciting.
Stella?
Oh, well, Catherine's not here anymore, but I wanted to thank her and Carrie for inviting me to the meeting with the Ministry of Education folks from Taiwan at Almond, and that was really great. And I seem to have missed the memo also on the We Are LASD shirt. Please don't leave me out next time.
It's always wearing.
I'm just taking Jim's like fashion lead here. Thank you, Jim.
Jim or Steve?
I know. So really embarrassed. Vladimir?
Junior Olympics, represent.
Ryan?
Speaking of organizational founders, on Sunday, I attended an event for Living Classroom, which is the sort of the nonprofit arm. There's a little bit of a two organizations
Oh,
thing
yes,
going on.
yeah.
So we run our Living Classroom sort of internally here at LASD, but the nonprofit still exists and runs programs in Mountain View, Wisman, and a few other schools. And Vicki Moore spoke, and I bring it up only because when she created the program a number of years ago, she sort of happened to come up with the idea at the same time as there was an instructional gardens program at the state level, which provided initial funding. She has been working with legislators, and there was actually a bill this year, SB 341, which would reauthorize that program. And then she's hoping to sort of, she says, this is step one, get the reauthorization, and then step two, we'll be getting some money behind it. But there's an effort to revitalize that statewide, so I just mentioned that, because it's such a great program in our district and some of the neighbors. And then, with that, and then we attended Coast to Coast, got a meeting with, some of our Congress people's staff,
Yes.
and got to hear from some other Congress people, if you want to say something about the experience. Just my time, it was interesting.
It was really good, thank you, and, it was without sounding political, like the vibe, I guess, of the mood in DC is a little different this year than it has been in the past. But what I did find really gratifying is, the state of California, we all assume that politically we're all one party and we're not. And, but it was nice to see that there are other school board trustees of different political leanings, but all of us kind of advocating together for public education. And so I thought that was like a really powerful moment. And I don't know if that got amplified during the session, but it was really good. And I think we had a really good meeting with Congressman Liccardo's education policy person. So I hope that, some good things can
And
come
I'm
from
gonna reach out to him tomorrow. It's on my to-do list. And just
Excellent.
make sure that we're on his consult list when he has questions about public education.
That's fabulous.
Yeah.
And I guess I'll see most of you at the Hoffman dinner tomorrow night. I would like to just remind yes.
Wednesday night, Wednesday.
I was just gonna say, we won the Hoffman Award last year, so it really is the celebration of some of the best
Yeah.
for our computer science program. Thank you very much.
I was just gonna comment that we could ask various different legislators to come to our graduations. And they
It's a
have
great idea.
like the exposure.
They volunteer. No, I think that's actually a great idea. We should probably invite Senator McCollum. Sorry, Congressman McCollum. This gave up. With that, I'd like to adjourn tonight's meeting. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for